Okay, let me go ahead and see if I can explain. So, I've been pretty open about sharing my medical journeys here with my condition that I was diagnosed with back in 2022 of achalashia, 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 as well as Barrett's syndrome. Achalashia is a condition of the esophagus where the bottom of your sphincter doesn't act appropriately in suctioning. The best way to explain it is that, like a snake, when a snake eats a mouse or a rat, the snake constricts and pulls that rat down until it releases it. And what happens with somebody with achalashia is that, well, there's not that suction down there. So in May of 2022, I had a surgery called Heller's myotomy, where they cut off the base of my esophagus and they pulled my stomach up and attached it to the base of my esophagus to act as that constrictor to pull food down my throat. This surgery was supposed to give me 35 years of relief. I was choking on my own saliva, unable to swallow even daily medications, vitamins, pills, as well as very difficult to eat food. I had about 8 months after the surgery of great relief. And then at that point, I began to experience different issues, which made it even more difficult for me to swallow water, food, my own saliva. And then at that point, I also began to experience issues GI related that were really quite inexplainable for many, many months. So I didn't call the doctor because I didn't know how to explain what I was experiencing. I was being brought down to literally a squatting position, not brought down to my knees, so to speak, and yet brought down to a squatting position, and I'd be in a rocking motion. I would actually go into almost catatonic states at that point, like sing me a lullaby type thing, like, oh, just the rocking back and forth. And then, I'd be okay. Some of these moments were really quite awful. These moments happened sometimes, many times a day. And it has been my flock, my sheep in particular, and my livestock guardian dogs in particular, who have been most in tune, most aligned with these moments where I'd be alone on the farm, in the fields, and down the Good Shepherd. These beautiful animals of mine, my Jesus sheep, my guardian angel dogs, were there on both sides of me to lift me up and make sure that I could stand up. It was really hard for me to explain to doctors because it wasn't about pain, and yet it was pain, and yet it wasn't the type of pain that you needed pain medication for. So how do I explain this to doctors? I continued to go on for several months without seeking medical help, and I finally reached out to my doctor, and then I had to wait, several more months for an appointment. Several weeks anyway, for an appointment. And at that point, my doctors referred me on to a specialist at Wake Forest Baptist Hospital, a GI specialist. My first appointment at Wake Forest Baptist Hospital, I believe, was in October of 2024. We're now in May of 2025. And they did several tests at that point. pH study and balance, the swallow study again that I had back in 2022, which diagnosed me with achalashia. Both of those tests came back normal. When I met with the GI specialist in March of 2025, The doctor said to me, I don't think you have achalashia. I don't think you have Barrett's syndrome. And I don't think you ever had achalashia. I don't believe the doctor used the word unfortunately, and yet the doctor did explain, because I had this surgery done in May of 2022, the Heller's myotomy, that this is where the real problems began. I'd lost 25 pounds, clearly unable to swallow food. During all of these many months of waiting in between doctor's appointments and tests, well, I lost my joy of eating. And that's a really big joy to lose, a joy of eating. And not only is it a big joy to lose of eating, that loss of joy in eating also carried on and isolated me and took me away from being around family. I went back in March also of 2025 and had the gastric emptying study done. That came back normal. The GI specialist at Wake Forest Baptist Hospital, when he saw me in March, I believe it was March, put me on 2 medications for GERD, G-E-R-D, and reflux. And he said at that point, these medications may actually solve all your problems and we may not need to do any further studies. Let's see how they go. These are much better prescriptions than what you were on before. I, at that point, had continued to say for years, I don't have GERD, I don't have reflux, I never have acid come up, I never feel that throwing up, I couldn't even throw up, I couldn't even burp. Nothing would come past this level in my GI area. Those 2 medications have been a miracle. And the moments that I'd been experiencing for many, 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 many months prior have seemed to dissipate to a level that are like a miracle. And yet, that's solving one issue, which is the GI issues, the reflux. The one issue that still is not under control with me is the swallowing. It is very hard to swallow. Again, still, all this time, all these years, to swallow my own saliva, to swallow water, ginger ale, food. So, also in March, the GI specialist at Wake Forest Baptist Hospital set me up to have done, which will be done in June the 9th of this year at Wake Forest Baptist Hospital, 3 studies, procedures. The first one will be an EGD, which will examine the upper gastrointestinal tract, the esophagus, the stomach. The second test is going to be an endoflip, E-N-D-O-F-L-I-P. This is a tool that is used during the endoscopy that can further diagnose such issues going on within the GI tract. It involves inserting a catheter with a balloon containing sensors into the esophagus to measure pressure, dimensions, and motility. This information will help the doctors be able to diagnose achalashia and other esophageal disorders. My endoscopy done in 2024, they sent my pathology off to a very special lab that literally determines whether you have Barrett's syndrome. This study came back, this lab test came back saying, I have Barrett's syndrome. This doctor, the specialist at Wake Forest Baptist Hospital, has told me that Barrett's syndrome usually affects 90% males, not females. Even though in my family, in my genetics. My uncle did die from esophageal cancer. My mother has been diagnosed with Barrett's syndrome. I believe also on my paternal side, my Nana also had Barrett's syndrome. The third test that they will do on June the 9th at Wake Forest is called a BRAVO, B-R-A-V-O study. It's a test used to assess the acid, the reflux in the esophagus. They will be inserting a small wireless capsule, which I will go home with for 48 to 96 hours. It will monitor all of the acidity going on within me, and then I'll return to the hospital and they will take this out and be able to give me further results. This has been a long journey. I share this with life because why not? I don't know what's going on with me, and yet I do know what's going on with me. I'm a healthy 52-year-old otherwise. All of my blood work is always normal. These tests that I've had done are normal, and yet what continues to be a significant issue is my inability to swallow food, which continues to have me losing weight. And to be the Good Shepherd, I have to have such nourishment and nutrients within my being. And smoothies get old really fast, you know? I'm human, I'm a young person. And so it's been a real long journey of every day continuing to utilize my flock, my animals, my farm, to keep me being the onward, upward shepherd through all of these moments. Even during the times where I do fall down into that squatting position still, into the fields. I share this journey with life because I know I'm not the only one in this life who is going through such issues. I continue to remain hopeful. I don't believe I'm dying. I know I don't have cancer. And yet these are all the things in life, universally speaking, that when life itself hears, oh, well, you're not dying, so then you're okay. And it's like, no, I got a broken arm. It hurts like hell, you know? So, no, I'm not okay. And I'm grateful to have finally found and been directed by my doctors to a specialist who is determined to prove that I don't have achalashia and I don't have Barrett's syndrome. Thank you for joining my journeys. Onward, upward, shepherd.